What would you do if the man you disrespected turned out to be a national hero? Tonight, in a quiet town where nothing ever seems to happen, a shocking confrontation on the street will leave everyone questioning justice, respect, and the meaning of true honor. Stay with me, because the twist in this story will leave you speechless. It was a chilly evening in Brooksville, a small town where neighbors greet each other by name, and the night air usually carries nothing more than the sound of crickets. But on this night, a single encounter would turn the whole town upside down. Camera pans to an older black man, mid-70s, walking with a cane and holding a small grocery bag. He moves slowly but with quiet dignity. His name, Mr. Elijah Turner. To the locals, he was just the quiet old man who lived on the corner house with the American flag in the yard. Few people knew his story, and fewer still knew the sacrifices behind his silence. A police cruiser pulls up, headlights glaring. A young, aggressive cop steps out. But that night, Officer Daniels, new to the force and quick to assert his authority, saw only what his prejudice allowed him to see. An elderly black man walking alone, carrying a bag that he instantly assumed was suspicious. Cop approaches Elijah harshly, demanding ID. Elijah tries to explain. The cop interrupts, shoving him. The crowd slowly gathers. But that night, Officer Daniels, new to the force and quick to assert his authority, saw only what his prejudice allowed him to see. An elderly black man walking alone, carrying a bag that he instantly assumed was suspicious. Cop approaches Elijah harshly, demanding ID. Elijah tries to explain. The cop interrupts, shoving him. The crowd slowly gathers. The officer's voice rose. His patience snapped. And in front of a gathering crowd, his hand struck across Elijah's face. A moment that would change everything. The crowd gasped. Elijah didn't raise his voice. He didn't fight back. He stood in silence. Imagine being hit not just in the face, but in the soul. After a lifetime of sacrifice, to be reduced to nothing by a single moment of disrespect. Officer Daniels looks smug, adjusting his belt, thinking he's put the man in his place. But behind Elijah's calm stare was a storm. He had endured battles far greater than this. He had faced bullets, bombs, and the constant weight of being underestimated his entire life. And in that moment, something inside him stirred. Elijah slowly reaches into his jacket pocket. The crowd murmurs. Fear spreads. The officer's hand jumps to his holster. The officer thought he was reaching for a weapon. The bystanders held their breath. But what Elijah pulled out was something no one expected. Elijah's wrinkled hand lifts a small box. He opens it. Inside gleams the Medal of Honor, a symbol of courage, sacrifice, and heroism. The highest military decoration this nation can give. And in that moment, the arrogant officer froze. But why did Elijah carry that medal with him? And what happened next on that dark street would shock even the officer himself. Because the truth about Elijah's past was far more dangerous and powerful than anyone could have imagined. Officer Daniels had been trained to command respect through fear, but suddenly his authority meant nothing. That medal, shining in the streetlight, was a mirror showing him his own shame. Daniels stutters, steps back, his voice cracking as he says, Where did you get that?" The officer's power crumbled, but instead of relief, Elijah felt something deeper. Memories of war flooded back, gunfire, screams, the weight of brothers lost in battle. Flashback montage. Young Elijah in uniform, battlefield chaos, carrying a wounded comrade on his shoulders through smoke and fire. Elijah Turner wasn't just a soldier. He was a savior. The night he earned that medal, he carried 3 men through enemy fire, refusing to leave them behind. He bled for a country that never truly accepted. Present day. Elijah stares at the officer with tired eyes. He whispers softly, This is what respect costs." Those words cut deeper than any weapon, and for the first time, Officer Daniels couldn't speak. Some bystanders pull out phones, filming. Others whisper, "He's a war hero." That cop hit him. A Medal of Honor veteran. The crowd that once stood frozen now turned. Whispers became outrage. Daniels felt the shift, the power slipping from his grip. A young boy in the crowd tugs his mother's sleeve, pointing to Elijah. "Mama, is he a hero?" Innocence pierced the tension. because sometimes truth speaks loudest through the eyes of a child. Officer Daniels clenches his jaw, realizing cameras are rolling. His pride, his fear of exposure, ignite into desperation. Instead of admitting fault, Daniels did what too many in power do. He doubled down. His hand gripped Elijah's arm, yanking him closer. Daniels shouts, "You think a medal makes you untouchable? Not tonight." The crowd gasps, phones recording every second. But Elijah didn't resist. He didn't need to, because the truth was already unraveling. Another voice calls out from the crowd, a deep, commanding tone that silences everyone. Then, a voice cut through the chaos. A voice that carried weight, respect, authority. Camera pans to a man stepping forward, broad shoulders, wearing a dark coat. The crowd parts as he approaches. Who was he? And why did Officer Daniels suddenly look pale? The moment this man spoke, the entire story would twist again. Last time, the crowd witnessed a shocking twist. An officer striking a war hero only to be silenced by the truth of a Medal of Honor. But when a new figure stepped forward, badge gleaming, the story was far from over. Tonight, the final revelation will expose the truth and forever change the meaning of respect. His name, Captain Marcus Reed. Not just a superior officer, but head of internal affairs, and more than that, a man who once owed his life to Elijah Turner. Flashback montage. Young Marcus on the battlefield, pinned down. A younger Elijah pulling him to safety under fire. Elijah had saved Marcus's life decades ago. And now, fate had brought them face to face once more, in the most unlikely of places. Excuses spilled from Daniel's mouth, but Captain Reed wasn't listening. His eyes were fixed on Elijah, the man who had once carried him through hell itself. Reed salutes Elijah, his voice steady. "You should never, ever have been touched." In that moment, the balance of power shifted. Daniels, once proud, once unshaken, was now nothing but a trembling shadow. Officer Daniels was arrested, not for disrespect alone, but for abuse of power caught on camera, witnessed by dozens and condemned by his own superior. Elijah stands silently, his hand trembling as he grips the medal. Tears brim in his eyes. But Elijah didn't smile, because for him this wasn't victory. It was a reminder that even after giving everything to his country, respect had to be demanded, not given freely. Neighbors gather around Elijah, some placing hands on his shoulder, others lowering their heads in shame. The crowd that once stood by in silence now surrounded him, not out of pity, but out of honor. They saw him not as just an old man, but as the hero he had always been. The little boy from earlier steps forward salutes Elijah with wide, innocent eyes. And sometimes change doesn't begin with the powerful, Anna, but with the simple respect of a child. Elijah looks at the boy, then at the crowd. He finally speaks, his voice steady, carrying decades of weight. Elijah, calm, firm. "I didn't fight for medals. I fought so that one day no man would be judged by the color of his skin. That day still hasn't come. But it will." Those words weren't just for the officer, they were for all of us. A reminder that true honor isn't worn on a ribbon. It's carried in the choices we make every single day. In Brooksville, one night changed everything. A slap became a symbol, a medal became a voice, and an old soldier became a living reminder. That respect once earned in blood should never again be denied.